Welcome back to the show, folks. This is the Aardvark Agenda. You are listening to Daniel Lowney here on Cavan Online and Community Radio. And don't forget to tune in to all of our other shows. We have a hell of a lot of shows. There's Patsy on a shitload of shows. We have Jet on some other shows. We have Mickey on some other shows. We have Grace doing some other shows. We have Dozy doing some shows. Quailon doing some shows. And a few other show hosts. It's a fantastic, fantastic variety of shows and hosts and reports and issues and all of that other stuff that makes up an online radio station. And don't forget, you can download it here off your internet. You can listen to it on the computer. And we're going to jump straight into our next competition. A clue here is our third song, completely edited by our technicians. And you have to guess the song and the artist for your chance to win €20 voucher for Multisound Cavan. Here's our third song. Wow, that sounds almost better than the original. No, that's not possible, actually. So, welcome back to the show. On this section of the show, I'm going to be completely open, honest, and I'm going to put it out there. I've tried online dating. It's something that most of my generation and the younger generations, I'm not claiming to be young at all, have tried at some stage. And yes, Tinder is that, well-known one. So I was having conversation with some of the older gentry of the county recently, and we're talking about changing times and changing technologies and how it's affecting it. And of course, there's still that stigma about people who meet each other online and how it's so freaky and downright disgusting and weird. But, I tried to portray it to them. I mean, which is worse? You meet someone online, you agree to meet for a cup of coffee, you meet in a public place, you have a rational conversation, you fall in love, you have babies, end of story. Or you end up going up. You get rat-faced drunk. Then you go out and you're vomiting on each other's shoes. You buy her a drink. She buys you a drink. The two of you end up in a taxi home, sleep with each other, find out each other's names the next morning. Bang, she's pregnant, and that's it for the rest of your lives. One is online, one is not. The nature of how people engage, the nature of how people get to know each other, and the nature of how people meet is rapidly changing according to the changing technology. And it is really, really developing. So, what I did was I put together my personal account, thank you very much, of what it's like to go on a Tinder date. And this is with the permission of that original Tinder date. And no, I'm not still seeing her. This is quite some time ago. And no, I'm not still dating on Tinder, funny enough. I'm not an endorsement or an indictment of Tinder or any other online dating service. I recommend it to anyone. Just be safe and be careful and, have a good time. But this is a personal account of my first Tinder date and how unusual and how weird and discomforting it was. So enjoy, folks. It starts with a feeling of desperation. Have I done enough not to be here? I wonder as the finger flicks left and right indicate the shallowness of the point I've reached. Welcome to the age-old activity of dating, but welcome to the new age embarrassment of Tinder dating. You run through your mind all the reasons to justify it. It's a reliably safe way to connect to a person without giving too much away. It's better than slovenly slobbering over someone in a bar, where you both have to crack your vocal cords apart and shatter eardrums just to get to know one another. Well, at least you can message the person first to get a sense of them before meeting. Just to be sure they're not into feet, sheep, torture, or those other fetishes. All these things cling and claw at the inside of your skull as you fight the embarrassment that you really are on an online dating website. Well, no matter how normal everyone says it is nowadays. No matter what they say, it still feels like you're a village freak, out to stalk any available filly who might fall for your words and carefully chosen, perfectly chosen angled photographs, as opposed to the general fails of the in-person first contacts, where self-consciousness and physical impressions crush the potential for romance in a nightclub or post-nightclub chipper, which both are about as romantic a place to meet a person as a slaughterhouse or concentration camp. Ding! A match. That first sense of mutual agreeability on behalf of two strangers, it feels a little like you've just won a raffle prize. Through a myriad of hesitant messages and half compliments over a few days of holding back the desire to get all Shakespearean, you both agree to meet in person. One small step for online dating, but one giant leap in doing something about my singlehood. I have a date. An actual date. Yes, I feel American now. The preparations and organising, you go over in your head only a few billion times as the day approaches. The nervousness of meeting a stranger who could be potentially an important person is dulled by a wet blanket of casualness, the, well, this is what people do now, attitude. On the outside, we're all like jazz players, casually entering stage in a very lackadaisical, calm way, while inside, we're the frantic composer, fussing over notes and harmonies, making sure we don't fuck it all up. The day arrives. I agree to meet her in a lovely exotic Nepali restaurant, as much a welcome distraction as a treat. Somewhere public, so the thoughts I might be a murdering rapist never come into her mind. It's like every time you pass airport security. You know the only encounter you had with drugs was when you had that unwelcome one puff of weed when you're a teenager, but in your mind's eye you have several tons of cocaine honey condomed inside your rectum. Now, as in those airports, you hope the other person sees the best and not the worst of humanity in you. Have I murdered anyone? No. Check. Have I mutilated any corpses lately? No. Check. Have I sought sexual pleasure from animals? No. Check. Okay, alright, I'm now an acceptable member of the human race to date this lady. I'm almost an hour early, not that I tell her that. I feel nervous and sweaty, mainly because it's summer, but also because it's a long time since I've dated, and never with a stranger from the internet. Then thoughts of her float to mind. Will she be some grotesque ogre catfishing me? Will she be an empty-minded bimbo who has no interest in anything, who passed her phone to her smarter or funnier friends every time you chatted, just to make sure there was substance? No. She's worse, far, far worse than any of these things. She walks down the stairs and she's more beautiful than her photos, more lovely than her mannerisms online. She is fucking gorgeous. And now the sweat rolls in Niagaran torrents of nerves. As she moves toward the table, I rise to greet what is the centre point of the next several hours of my life. My Tinder date in person. Wine lubricates the nerves. Confessions of tension and nerves alleviate the nerves on both behalves. Her perfect shining smile, her glossy black hair, amethyst starry eyes remind me of every inadequacy I have. The trouser size I gained in the last year, the redness of my cheeks, the fact that I am not the specimen of perfection perhaps my perfectly angled photographs portrayed in my Tinder profile. I am fucked by my own perceived inadequacies when placed across a table from what in my mind is a living Venus. Thankfully and horrifically, she is also a lovely person. No smarter cousin or deeper friend typed to me in her absent-minded absence. No, she runs for mental health awareness. She teaches little children. She travels. She loves life. She has meaning. More and more in my mind I am dimmed in her company, and to make myself seem less focused on my problems, I ask more and more and more about her. Plus it's point scoring not to seem too self-obsessed. The hours go by and the food goes in. The wine now well lubricates the conversation. It comes close to the terrible time. The time of parting. I know I have to get back home tonight for work tomorrow, but the mundane thing of saying farewell becomes an episode of the Crystal Maze in my head. I walk her as far as I can, laughing and talking with her to the taxi rank, but all the while there's a team of people screaming at each other in my head about what to do, while a funny bald man is rolling his eyes at the camera thinking, isn't this silly how worked up you are? The final moments come, and confusion eradicates any rational thought. I lean into Case and, noticing the perhaps inappropriately busy street and waiting people at the taxi rank, the chorus of Crystal Maze players scream, no, not that box, the other one, the other one. And the leaning in that could have been a romantic kiss that I wanted, that would rival any Notebook, movie or P.S. I Love You, becomes a strange and warm hug. Welcome, but warm, a failure. Dismal and utter failure cramps my mind, and there's no way out of it, no way to undo. The egg timer has run out and the team member must leave the puzzle room and his wrongfully chosen box. Solicitous farewells and promises of do this again sometime follow as we both part ways with smiles and waves. I mount the bus home and sit dejected in the seat. 100 alternative realities are rolling out, like various versions of the same TV program in my head. We kissed deeply and we liked it and we parted. We kissed deeply and we hated it and I felt worse than I already am. We kissed, we found we really liked it, we're in a taxi back to her home and are right now tearing clothes off one another. Instead, I'm tearing my hair out with what might have beens when I know what might have beens are not good for the head. I lie back in my seat and I think, well, it is my first blind date, it's my first Tinder date, and it's my first date in many years. I'll have to do better next time. Armed with a fragile hope and a frail optimism, I close my eyes and with a pang of regret think, but my God, she was so hot, I was such an idiot, and drift back into the endless cycle that is the Tinder regret.
I wanna know what love is. I want you to show me. I wanna feel what love is. I know you can show me. I'm gonna take a little time to look around me. I've got nowhere left to hide. It looks like love has finally found me. In my life, there's been heartache and pain. I don't know if I can face it again. I can't stop now. I've traveled so far to change this lonely life. I wanna know what love is. I want you to show me. I wanna feel what love is. I know you can show me. I wanna know what love is. I want you to show me. I wanna feel what love is. I know you can show me. Let's talk about love that you feel inside. I'm feeling so much love. No, you just can't hide. I wanna know what love is. Let's talk about love. Know you can show me. I wanna feel it. I wanna feel it too. And I know you can show me. I wanna know.
That was, of course, my personal account of my first Tinder date, and do you know what? I only went on 3 in total. It wasn't really a very successful and thrilling ride through the world of online dating, but don't be afraid. Go on, try it. Have a go. There's no reason why anybody should be alone in this world. Go find someone. So we're on to our competition time again, and our competition is coming up to song number 4. And song number 4 is Mutated Beyond All Recognition. Remember, if you can identify the artist and song for all 5 songs, you will win a €20 voucher for Multisound Cavan. That's right, Multisound of the Cavan. And here is our Mutated song number